in attendance. We have Tom Stapleton, Bill Liss, Chris Mastriani, and Secretary Wendy Cordero. We'll take a few minutes to review the minutes of the last two meetings and to pay some bills, and we'll be back to the meeting in a few minutes.
A lot of trees, yeah.
Susan. Mute yourself. Susan, on the left, on the bottom, you're gonna have a microphone that's muted. It's red, you gotta click it.
Let's review the minutes.
All right.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay,
Wanna
I
let
just
you know-
wanted, oh,
Go ahead.
sorry.
You're
Bill,
here-
Bill
Wendy.
Smith is not here at my house. He's at his house in Hudson, but I have him on the phone. He's on speakerphone and I have my phone on. So he can you hear Bill?
Yes.
Okay, he can hear.
Okay, we're
So
gonna,
I can't hear them.
Okay,
yeah, we'll be back for you at 7:10.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Bill?
Hello.
You'll be back with me at 7:10. I just checked in.
What time is it now?
7:05.
Okay.
You can't hear them?
I can't hear them at all. I can hear you, but I can't hear them.
Okay, I turned the iPad sideways, so you'll be closer to the speaker.
Okay. did you have on the phone, on the phone, the chairman?
I believe so. Christopher Mastriani.
Is he the chairman or what?
Yes.
Okay. You better tell them my age at some point.
They
in time,
know.
okay?
They know, Bill. They know.
Try to find out when they're gonna have a final verdict on it, okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
What he's asking for, actually asking.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Um, All right, it's 7:10 PM on April 24th. We're going to start a public hearing. I'll read the notice. Please find below the legal notice for the following hearing as published in the Westfield News on April 10th and on April 17th, a meeting of the Southwick Board of Appeals. Notice is hereby given of a public hearing to be held Monday, April 24th, 2023 at 7:10 PM to hear the petition of William Smith for the property located at 79 Mort Finding Road, Southwick, Mass. The applicant is seeking relief from chapter 185-30.1, the use of a common driveway in order to make the lot buildable. This meeting is hybrid via Zoom, and it'll be recorded via Zoom, and also an audio recording for backup. So would the applicant like to tell us about the application, please?
Yes. My name is Susan Nelson. Let me just see. Bill is here. Can you hear any of this, Bill?
I cannot hear them, but I can hear you.
Okay. All right. We submitted for a variance on MGL 185-30.1 because the building inspector denied a building permit because of the common driveway. With your new common driveway, residential common driveway bylaw, that excluded parcel C. So since parcel C has been excluded from that common driveway, Bill is not able to sell that lot to be built on. So he is applying for a variance. If you see what we wrote here, it's we need to have some clarification on that. He was using that driveway since his purchase in 2005. And he had some money down on some buyers last May, and he didn't even know this zoning bylaw went into effect in 2015. He thought he had a right to that driveway. We don't quite understand why he was omitted from being able to use that common driveway where parcel A was able to use that common driveway. We understand why B has it because he owns the driveway. So we were told to apply for a variance, and that's what Bill is doing. We also want to let you know that that driveway does abut parcel C's property for quite a bit of the driveway. Whereas when you read bylaw 185-30.1, it does state that there must be a 10-foot setback from any abutting properties. But you can tell when they put that driveway in, they had a plan for all three properties to be using that common driveway. This was all set up back in 2002, 2003. I understand there was a lawsuit. The town was saying okay with lot A, parcel A and B, and they weren't allowing C. So McNaughton took them to court, took the town to court. Maybe someone in this room does remember that. And he won the court case, and all three driveways, all three lots were allowed to be developed. In the meantime, A and B built their houses. Bill bought that property to sell later on in life to help support him. And now he finds out just last year that he cannot sell that property because he does not have access to that common driveway. So we're doing what the town is recommending. We're doing what the building inspector does recommend, and that is to appeal for this zoning bylaw. Are there any questions about what we've written here?
Yeah, I have a couple comments. The lawsuit that you're referring to was against the Conservation Commission, and the consent agreement between the original builder and the Conservation Commission was to allow access to all three lots from one common driveway. However, there was never a approval received from the zoning department to allow that. And so that was an omission back at that time. Also, the planning board approved a plan that said that there were going to be three separate driveways. The planning board
Right.
the planning board never approved the plan with a common driveway. So that's some of the errors and oversight and mistakes that were made in the past. Just, that's a brief summary. That, as you know, the history goes back about over 20 years.
Right. Are
So-
you Christopher?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
I'm-
And that applies to all three parcels, A, B, and C equally. All of this omission and lack of permission in granting that you're talking about, that applies to parcel A, parcel B, and parcel C. Correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. And at one point, someone did draw up, they talked about having three separate driveways that abutted each other, and they said that was too cumbersome on access to Mort Vining Road. So that's when they came up with the common driveway. And I understand that you're saying that the planning board never wrote off on it. They never approved it, but houses were already built. So those two houses were built illegally, as well as Lot C not having a permit access. Correct?
I'm not sure they were built illegally. They were, when, I don't have it on my fingertips when they were built, but I assume they were built back soon after the
Around 2003.
the agreement that at that time. That sounds about right.
Right.
But yeah, let's just stuff here. But it doesn't change the fact that there was never zoning approval for that. Unfortunately, a common driveway up until 2015, common driveways were not specifically allowed or permitted.
Correct. Yeah,
there's
we are
some
aware.
There's some that do exist, but those were exceptions. That whatever their history was, I'm not sure what that is. But in 2015, it was explicitly written into the bylaws that you cannot have a common driveway with more than 2 people on it. So that's the bylaw that we're responsible for maintaining. And unless there's a compelling reason that we should overrule that, it's not something that we can probably do.
Why are you determining that parcel A gets to use the driveway versus parcel C? If you're saying only 2 people can use the driveway, why is it that A gets to use it but not parcel C?
Because they have been using it.
So has
built-
parcel C. Parcel C has been using that driveway ever since his purchase also. He also has cables running under that driveway. And that driveway is abutting his property. Where's the 10-foot setback?
How many houses are on that property?
There's
So-
one house on parcel A,
A,
one
and
house
one on
on
B.
parcel B, and C is an empty lot.
So no one's really using it as a residence? on
Right.
that.
It's
Okay.
never been developed.
So Susan, what you said was that why A, B, or C? And if A and B have houses built and residents are currently using that as access to more vining, well, that's defined. Now. parcel
No.
C- Well, I'm not finished. And parcel C, which doesn't have a residence, how do you claim it's being used currently?
Well, he has his cables running underneath it. And he uses that. He goes to check that property ever since he's purchased it. He's been driving on that driveway to check his property back there. The buildable lot is set back off the road because of the wetlands. So to get to his buildable lot, he has to use that common driveway, which he has been using ever since he's purchased it back in 2005.
But I don't think the driveway for multiple use is predicated on a right-of-way type of situation, which you're alluding to, but more so for accessibility to a residence, right?
Correct.
I mean, when they say a dual-use driveway, they mean 2 homes. They don't mean.
They don't
2
specify that.
Well, I don't know what they specify exactly, but that's what I think is the intent.
Except as, here's
Hold on, in
Mass General Law 40A, paragraph 6.
if we go to Southwick bylaws, 18530.1,
Right,
section C,
yes.
permitted use is residential common driveways. So residential means there's a home on it. That defines what a residential driveway is.
Okay, I'm not gonna argue that point. We're applying, Bill is applying for an appeal.
Right.
So an exception to your common driveway. He wants to be able to be the third property to use that driveway.
So section D says prohibited uses, prohibited No common driveway shall be allowed which serves more than 2 lots. That's the
Correct.
first section of the prohibited use.
Correct, and he's applying for a variance to that.
I understand. But it's prohibited. Oh, we understand what he's trying to do. I get fully the picture.
We can't do it.
But from what we're reading, what Chairman Mastroni was saying is, it doesn't look like the bylaw has any room for us to put a variance to that. It's pretty black and white.
Well, if you want to argue about residential, that is a residential lot, a lot for a residential home. Just because it doesn't have the home on it doesn't mean it's not residential. This doesn't say anything about a home on a lot. It just mentions lots and residential lots. It doesn't mention anything about homes on these lots.
But the section D says no more than 2 lots to be served by a common driveway.
Okay,
So you can argue the point of residential, but it's a driveway. That's what you're after, to serve another
Okay.
lot.
okay,
So for residential.
you're talking about section D.
Correct.
No comment, okay, which more than 2 lots, which serves more than 2 lots,
Right.
okay. Which contain a use other than a single family dwelling. He would be putting a home on for a single family dwelling.
For 2.
He is
which you already
one,
have.
he is a lot, what?
You have 2 lots developed already with homes on them.
Right,
So you have 2. So there's not
this doesn't talk about homes on lots. This talks about lots and this talks about single family dwellings.
and no more than 2. Which you
Okay,
already
now
have.
let's, if you're gonna go be going by this common bylaw, how about we go down to G, E,
Yep.
general requirements. Oh, wait, this is F.
Okay?
F,
That's standards for the.
number
fence.
2,
Yep.
number 2, the entire length of driveway, shared and individual portions shall be constructed with a setback from any abutting property line not served by the common driveway of a minimum of 10 feet for the entire
Right.
length of the driveways. This driveway abuts lot C. What are the current owners gonna do about that?
That's, well, I think that's for them to try
Right.
to sort out. We're not concerned with the placement of the driveway. The driveway is where the driveway is for some reason in the past. I think that's what the Conservation Commission agreed to, the plan that showed the driveway there. So we have nothing to do with enforcing that setback of the existing driveway. We're here to talk about our inability to change to give a variance to the bylaw that's very explicit in saying no more than 2 lots. The bylaw doesn't even mention residences under prohibited uses. It says which serves more than 2 lots, and that's
Whether
what
they're
we're.
developed
Okay,
or not.
Okay, but my question is, why does Lot A have precedence over Lot C if they've both been using that driveway since they purchased it?
Well, you can say that they've both been using it, but the degree of usage is.
It doesn't
ordered-
say degree
is
of
order of
usage on
magnitude.
here. It just says use.
Well, Susan, would you like to remove one of the lots from access to that driveway and replace it with
Yes.
lot access? That's what you want to do? You want to remove the access to the other
Well,
house?
you're saying
I'm
you
asking the
cannot,
question, wait, time out. You say that, why does one have precedence over the other? And it's pretty obvious, 2 homes exist, they both use a driveway, that's common sense. You're trying to add a third access, and you're asking the question, well, why do the 2 existing homes have precedence? Well, it's obvious they do because they're homes.
And they're allowed.
And they're using that driveway legally.
Correct.
And you're asking the question, well, how do we differentiate between the 2? And the fact of the matter is, we differentiate because 2 homes use a driveway legally, and you're asking the question, this third outlier, which has access to a field and is driven on occasionally, deserves the same right. And if you really want to push that issue, then the next question is, well, which one's going to be removed to allow the second home to access the driveway, which doesn't exist? So your argument is a little bit convoluted.
Okay,
I don't know
let
what
me,
you're trying to say.
okay, you said we have access to a field.
I don't know, I'm just imagining.
It's all
you say
wet,
he goes-
it's all wetlands. He
Well,
doesn't have
it's a wet
access.
field. Well, he drives out, you said he drives out on that road to get to his property. Why does he do that?
Because it's all wetlands in front of his property. His
But what does he-
property,
But why does he go there?
to check on his property.
Okay, so he goes occasionally to check on his property, and somehow that deserves precedence over a home that utilizes it for a common everyday occasion. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does, because he has cables running under that driveway and he wants to build a home there too. So why should they have precedence over use of it? Because they've already built their home and he hasn't built a home.
Because,
Exactly.
well, frankly,
This
Susan,
bylaw does not say homes. This
Susan,
bylaw,
it says residential, which kind of implies home.
okay, show me where it says residential.
Hey,
Also 2 lots,
Right.
not even residential.
Section C, the first sentence is permitted use, residential common driveways.
Section what?
C, 130.1, excuse me, 185.30.1. Section C, which is permitted use. The next word is residential common driveways may be allowed by special permit. And D, prohibits more than 2.
special permit.
No,
David?
I am trying to find out where this says houses on it, houses on the lots. This is talking about residential lots, but it's not talking about houses on the residential
It
lots.
says residential use.
Yes,
It says residential use, not residential
well,
lots.
residential driveways,
Yeah, residential.
which are feeding 2 homes that are
All
developed right
three of
now.
those lots are residential.
But they don't have homes on them, only 2 does, and that's the 2 that are serving already.
But we're going by the common, this bylaw. And this
Right.
bylaw does not say how, homes on residential lots. All
Well, they
it
can-
talks about is residential lots.
So for my colleague's comment, you can only use 2 of the 3, so pick the 2 you want to use.
Basically,
That's
yeah.
kind of what it comes down to.
That's
You have
right.
2 using right now, so one of them's gonna have to give up to use the 3rd.
Are you ready?
Can't use all 3.
Are you
Well,
ready to do that?
you're not willing to grant a variance. You're saying this
Right.
bylaw does not allow the granting of a variance.
It doesn't.
Well,
So-
variance, well, no,
No,
that's
it-
not true. That's, Susan,
you're right.
variances are granted in expansion of the, if the bylaw says you can't do it, you come to this board and we review the facts and decide if there's a good reason why we should allow you to go beyond the variance, the bylaws, right?
Correct.
And that's what you're trying to do, and your argument's not really bringing it there. And I wonder, now you said at one point earlier that someone told you it was too cumbersome to have an extra driveway to Mort Vining. What does that mean? Why not, is there no way to have another driveway?
Well, it would have to be on Lot B's property because
I don't
the
know the
original,
answer.
Yeah,
the original plan was for the when the Conservation Commission originally was looking at this and the fire chief looked at it, they talked about 3 driveways abutting each other, but that was on Lot C, or Lot B rather.
yeah, so you can't.
Lot C is all wetlands.
Right.
There is no access to that property from Lot C's frontage. So that common driveway is only on Lot B's property. It's not on Lot A's property at all, and it's not on Lot C's property at all. Lot C, the whole frontage is wetlands. So there is no other way for Lot C to get back to that, his buildable property, except through that common driveway. So when they were originally, I have the paperwork about when they originally came up with the idea of 3 lots abutting each other, 3 driveways abutting each other. That was all on parcel B's property. And they said it was too cumbersome and it was too much interference on Mort Vining Road to have 3 driveways like that. And that's where they came up with the idea of 1 common driveway. And when they built that common driveway, they put the cables under that driveway. All the cables to Lot C, Lot A, and Lot B are under that driveway. When Bill purchased that property, this is 7 pages, mutual driveway easement and declaration. It's in the Book of Deeds, book 15426, page 232. Each person that bought those lots was also given this 7-page document on what they need to do on this shared common driveway.
That document also states that the planning board and the Conservation Commission approved that, and the Conservation Commission was bound by the consent agreement by the court, so their approval is there. There is not an approval that I can find for a common driveway by the planning board.
Right, and that applies to Lot A and Lot B also.
I'm not concerned with Lot A. If you have some path you want to go down to try to force Lot A that they can't use it, then that's separate from our discussion here. Our discussion here is I don't see a way that we can grant a variance for a third person to access the common driveway. So I think because it's against the bylaw, and there's not a compelling reason to undo 21 years of litigation and review by different boards in order to do that. I think what you and Mr. Smith need to do is think about an alternative to that, coming up with a new plan to cross those wetlands, and then you're gonna have to submit that to the planning board and the Conservation Commission all over again. It's a bad road to go down, but I think that that's the only way you're gonna find
it's all wetlands. There's no access.
Well,
Tried that.
the common driveway crosses wetlands in 3 different areas, so they were able to put a plan together to do that. So I think that maybe there needs to be a plan put together to cross the wetlands on 79 and see what's required to do that.
So part of your decision seems to be that when this originally was drawn up, because it wasn't passed by the planning board, there's a roadblock here. Not only because it's not compliant with this bylaw, which you can't grant a variance on, but also because it was never approved by the planning board. Is that what you're saying? Is that part of your decision?
That's one of the complexities and omissions from the history of this property. It was never fully permitted, and it was never brought before the zoning board at all back in 2002, 2005. All those instances would have required a zoning change, and it was never done. So we can't snap our fingers and make all that history go away.
But you snapped your fingers and let A use that driveway. That doesn't make sense.
I can't speak to
that house was built illegally.
Well,
It did not follow the planning board decision either. But you're letting them use that driveway. But if Bill wants to use that driveway, you can't let him use it because it was never passed by the planning board. That doesn't make sense.
We're not letting we're not letting Parcel A use that driveway. We have no mechanism for taking away somebody's right that they've already been using it. that's not for us to address. That's for you to address with the
Courts,
select board or
land
the planning board or someone, but
Land court.
that's not for us to address. So there's, I
But
understand.
Lot C has been using that driveway all along too. Maybe he doesn't use it every day, but he still uses it. And his cables are under that driveway 24/7 since that driveway was built.
Is there a driveway built from there onto 79 Mort Vining Road? Was anything ever developed from that common driveway onto his
Lot C.
property?
There's no paving from the end of the driveway onto his property
Okay.
because he hasn't built a house yet. You mean at the end of the driveway up where parcel C is, where the house plan is?
I mean, onto the property of 79 Mort Vining from that common driveway, that they would show that it's really being used for access to that lot. I mean, I can drive up that common driveway myself, but that doesn't mean that I use it, that I have any right to use it. But we're getting a little bit deep into things here. I think that you should be able to see that the approval of a variance is not going to happen. It requires a unanimous decision by this board, and I don't see that happening. So my suggestion to you is to come up with another solution.
Withdraw.
You probably, would probably be better for you to withdraw this application now rather than having us vote on it.
'Cause it locks it for 2
Withdraw
years.
the application and work on a separate solution that you can present then to the planning board and the Conservation Commission and to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
So in other words, it's starting all over.
I'm afraid so. That's my interpretation of what the only avenue that you have for getting at that property. I've spoken to the town planner, and the planning board will most likely will not entertain a special permit for the existing conditions there, with the common driveway. I think that they will decline to consider giving a special permit for a third access off that driveway, just for the same reasons that we can't, because it's against the bylaws. So I think you might have to have a study done on that, crossing that wetland and what's involved with that, and pursue that course of action.
Chris, can I just say something?
Sure.
Susan, if the board votes on it tonight and it's voted down, you have to wait a year to reapply.
2 years.
2 years.
2 years to reapply for that unless you substantially change it. So Chris is giving you an opportunity to kind of regroup yourself.
Can you
Maybe
hear
we
any
ought
of
to do
this,
that.
Bill? Bill, can you hear any of this?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Find it.
Can you gentlemen hold on a second while I
Yeah.
talk to Bill, because he can't hear anything you're saying?
That's unfair, that's fine.
Can you give me like 2 minutes?
Yes,
They're denying it. And they're
Um,
saying you're better off to withdraw this application because to appeal it, it's going to take 2 years. And they're saying for you to start as if you were starting all over to be able to build on that property, go through the planning board, conservation commission, and zoning board. So do you want to withdraw this application, because it looks like they're all going to deny it? Are all 5 of you denying it
won't matter.
verbally?
Doesn't-
Right.
There's three people are voting, and it would have to be a unanimous vote.
And all 3 of you are saying no.
I think
They're
from our,
Off the record. Off the
Haven't
record.
voted yet.
Yeah. Well, they don't care about how old you are.
No, but I do, what the hell sense of it, this is, it's all politics, that's all it is.
Yeah. Well, they're saying parcel A can have use of that driveway because they have a house on it. But this zoning bylaw doesn't say anything about houses, but they think I'm being a little bit of ridiculous bringing this up. All they talk about is residential lots.
Yeah,
So, it's semantics here, and it's 3 against 1.
That's not so.
So,
Let's clear up this residence versus.
okay, so you want to
house.
withdraw it?
if you think it's right, well.
Yeah, you'd have to. I mean, all 3 of them are saying no, so
I
there's
know.
no, they're set, they had their answer before we even came to this meeting.
Well,
Okay, all right.
Well, of course they do. It's
Stay
all
there and
politics.
listen, stay there and listen. Okay. I don't agree with you that parcel A can have access to that driveway because the house is already built there, because nowhere in this bylaw does it say a house on the residential lot has precedence.
Ma'am,
All it is
Susan,
doing is
Susan.
talking about residential lots.
Susan, go back to section D. And number 1, which no common driveway should be allowed that serves more than 2 lots. Lot A and Lot B are being served right now. Would you
No,
agree?
no, wait a minute.
Yes.
You're looking at section D?
Section D, prohibited uses, right?
Wait a minute, let me get D. Okay,
Yeah. Section D,
okay,
you're right there, right? It says prohibited uses, correct?
yes,
No common driveway should be allowed which serves more than 2 lots.
right. It doesn't say houses on lots, it says
You're serving
lots.
2 lots right now. A and B are being served by driveways. Would you agree?
No,
No? Oh, okay.
no,
They are,
which serves more than 2 lots.
right, there's 2 lots there, Lot A and Lot
There's
B.
3
It's not
lots
addressed.
back there, and all 3 of those lots are using that driveway. It does not say anything about houses, that the houses on the lots have the precedence over the lots.
That's a land use court then, as far as I'm concerned. What's
Right.
defining lots and homes and residential, you can argue that in legal language. But there's 2 driveways there that are being served already.
Well, you've
So-
heard our recommendation.
Yeah,
and,
you can choose. If you want us to
you can-
vote, we will. If you want to withdraw, you withdraw.
No, we're gonna
Okay.
withdraw it. We're gonna
Okay.
withdraw it because I know what your vote will be.
Okay,
Okay, so we're finished here, correct?
yeah, we filled out the paperwork, but they,
Yeah, I'm gonna fill out a form saying that you've requested to have this withdrawn, and,
And Bill was informed of that, and he agrees with
Okay.
it.
okay,
All right,
fair enough.
so, yeah, just to summarize our recommendations is try to see if somebody can put together a better plan to get to that, property in the back where you need to, and the other much less desirable thing is to, argue this in land court to get them to change what our, all the rulings have been here, and, in the last 20 years, so I'll
will.
put
Okay.
I'll put in the withdrawal and put that in the file. I'm
Now,
sorry.
Can you just repeat to me what the planning board said to you about all of this?
I just received today the minutes of the planning board meeting where they approved the 3 lots. And I'll read you what it says. On May 7th, 2002, there was a planning board meeting where they discussed the lots at Mort Vining Road. And it said, at that time, they denied the request to allow the 3 lots with the single driveway. On May 28th, 2002, there was the, Mr. McNaughton, I guess the original builder, he submitted a new plan, including new lot lines that showed 3 driveways. The board, at that meeting, the board suggested that he make an official application to the planning board, because that was not there yet. On June 25th, they met again, 2002 met again, and they reviewed the new plan with the 3 separate driveways and approved the 3 lots with that revised plan with the 3 separate driveways. The planning board did not approve of any plan that had a common driveway.
Okay,
So Susan, I also want to bring you back to the bylaws that we are
Yep.
under.
right,
If you go back to section D again, we talked about the prohibited uses.
right.
Number 2, for any lot which contains use other than a single-family dwelling. So there's 2 single-family dwellings on this common driveway already. Okay? And then section E, number 1, common driveway should only be allowed by a special permit issued by the planning board, not the zoning board. And both lots that are served by the common driveway must meet the requirements of a building lot. It's talking about 2, all through all of this. Which there are 2 right now. So all of these bylaws wrapped around are for 2. And that's where the planning board needs to, you could address them with that, because the only ones that can issue a special permit for any use on those common driveways would be from the planning board. And to Mr. Mastroni's point, I don't think they're on board to issue a 3rd. So it's a land court issue, I think, for you and the owner of the lot at this point, I believe, because our bylaws are pretty deep around it. Okay, so they withdraw anyway, so I guess we're set with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Susan, I'm filling out a form for you to request a withdrawal, and I'm putting, I, William Smith, and Susan Nelson hereby request a withdrawal of my zoning variance application. A withdrawal is necessary due to lack of support to grant the variance and to allow the applicant to explore other options. Is that acceptable to you?
Well, that's what you're saying. It's not acceptable to me, but that's what you're saying.
Well, is the reason for granting the withdrawal acceptable? I know that you're
I mean,
not-
I've tried to present to you that he has been using that driveway by having his cables under it, and he has been using it, maybe not every day because he doesn't have a house there, but you're not accepting that. And I've also tried to reason with you that these bylaws are talking about lots, residential lots, and not homes on residential lots, but you're not seeing the wording the same way I am seeing. So yes, we will withdraw and we will follow up with land court.
okay,
All right, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. We're sorry that it worked out this way, but thank you for making the effort to get meeting with us, and we wish you luck on whatever options you choose.
I don't
Thank
think you wish us luck on anything.
okay.
You don't care that he's losing this money, $130,000, but plus 20-some thousand dollars in taxes. I'm glad it's not coming out of your pockets.
All right, thank you. Good night.
You're not a good town to work with.
Of course,
You can laugh. You can take it lightly, but we're not.
I understand.
Yeah, I don't think you do understand, and I don't think you care.
I don't think you know what you're talking about, Susan.
I think we should jump.
That's okay. Okay, I'll sign off here.
Thank you.
Are you on with them, Susan?
Okay, she's muted anyway, but
Can't you?
I can't kill her.
No,
Can I kill her?
I don't think so.
No,
Hold on.
you may not.
Hold on.
No.
Remove. Yes, now she's gone.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn.
I second that.
He said,
Motion to adjourn.
Did you want to discuss something else?
Mike did. I second it.
Did you want to discuss something
I
else?
wanted to ask exactly what the appeal was. I read that and I'm saying, oh,
I know.
wishy-washy.
Let's close it.
Okay, we have a motion to
Adjourn.
adjourn. All in favor?
Aye. See you, Mike.
Thanks for zooming in, Mike.
Okay.